Okay, jumping in. Aubrey Marcus, why people are really upset that you won't see anywhere else. And this is a pain, a crisis of the human heart, the human spirit. But also, like many great pains, it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Something beautiful is coming from this. So, to catch you up on the Aubrey thing, Aubrey is 44 years old, biohacker, entrepreneur, kind of the face of open relationships, polyamory, ayahuasca, plant medicine, different things. Lives in Austin, Texas. His wife, Volana, 37 or 38, got two different numbers from that. They've been together, I believe, 4 or 5 years. They were in a, what I thought, monogamous, I guess it was monogamish, meaning mainly monogamy, some spiritual three-ways and lovers. He has her lovers, she has his lovers. They did this podcast and they were in one of these open cycles or whatever in Miami. God told him, I'm not making this up by the way, this you can watch the podcast. When I do share this in groups, people do burst out laughing. Teach their own. God told him to download Raya, which is like, expensive Bumble. As clear as a message as he's ever received from God. And while he was at the gym, bicep day, and the second person he sees is Alana, who is 28. So for the context, 10 years younger than his wife. Does that matter? Does it not? It's for you to decide. Or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it does. So, and then they do a God bomb ceremony, which is ketamine and marijuana, where Aubrey is the shaman. Could be a conflict of interest there, where you're the shaman to your lover with your wife. I go on the other video more into that. And then these are kind of the high points. They are in a pyramid in Egypt. Great place to be in pyramids, as one does. And the fertility goddess of Isis talks to Aubrey, not either the women, but just Aubrey, that he is supposed to get both the women pregnant, and Aubrey wants to be devoted to God. So he tells his wife that he needs to get her pregnant and this new girl. That is the 2.5-minute update on the podcast of the kind of big piece of the story. So it's the three of them and this therapist, guy, Mark Gaffney. I recommend to watch it. I recommend to notice what you listen, and whether you're male or female, notice what do you feel from each of them. Very, very different, all four of them, I would say. I won't give my opinion here. It was in the long video. So why are people really bothered with this? There's a plethora of reasons, whether you believe this, believe that, why people are bothered. There's one no one's talking about. When we look at people on the internet or gurus or celebrities, they have more social status for better or worse, right? So even we can look at, who was a couple that 10 years ago people probably would have looked at and been curious? Probably Jada and Will. And then was it the Oscars, that whole thing? And there seems like there's a lot going on there. But we see them on a public scale and go, maybe someone figured this shit out. Maybe someone figured out how to have a relationship with, and we don't even think this through, but like, maybe someone figured out how to have a decent relationship with themselves and then their partner, and they were able to do it for years or decades and have a family and be a good person. I think a lot of people genuinely felt, and they maybe still do feel, that Aubrey and Volana have a genuine connection. And I can hear people getting in the comments going like, no, this is bullshit, it's polyamory, it's this, it's... I felt they had a genuine connection. If I looked at a relationship vision board I had a few years ago, truth be told, I had pictures of them on it because I was like, these people got something. You could say that's a trauma bond, that's good sex, it's infatuation, it's a great photographer. Maybe you're right. But a lot of people looked up to this couple. It's like, I think they've done their inner work, they've figured it out. And there's something I believe that's crying out in the human spirit that going, can someone figure this shit out? And can we look up to you, not to put you on a pedestal, but to go, yeah, I want to do a lot of what they did in my own way. I want to have that healthy relationship with myself and have a beautiful partnership and create a family and build something that lasts decades. And I believe there's something really crying out in the human spirit for that. And to think about this for a second, especially if you're a woman, but think about this. 150 years ago, do you know if you had a relationship vision? Do you know that's a crazy concept? 150 years ago, that's not that long. We were talking about this last night in a group and people were like, 150 years ago, try like 80, 75, maybe 50. But like, I've talked to people, 50 years ago, people didn't have relationship visions. And if you did, they weren't that much different than 100 years before. If we looked at a relationship vision from, 1890 in America, do you know what it said? If you're a woman, they have a good family. He has good work. He's gonna take care of our kids. He's gonna provide, and he's not gonna beat me. I'm not saying I agree with that vision, by the way, but that was a relationship vision 130 years ago, 150 years ago. We live in a time, which is beautiful, by the way, where we can have so much stuff. We become personal development educated too much. Where it's all right. Are you here for our first date, or for job interview? First date. So are you secure, anxious, or avoidant attachment style? What are your top 3 values? Not based on what you wrote down on a mission statement, but based on how you live from your heart day to day. So when you say you're a biohacker, does that mean you're keto or more like bulletproof or paleo? Or are you this different where you rotate from each one? And, so we have all these things, right? These are funny. This is shit I would have had on relationship visions at some point. And we can have so many things on our checklist, which you should have a checklist. If you don't, I think that's a terrible idea in 2025. If you have 287 things on a checklist, that is a problem for you. You can have 287 things that it would be nice if they worked out that way. But to have 5 or 10 things that you go, I need this. And we live in a time that we have the gift of being able to even be that way, right? Being able to actually have a list. 150 years ago, you didn't think of which attachment style or what are their most important human needs or their values or their astrology sign or whatever. Are they a biohacker, or do they like CrossFit, or do they know who Ben Greenfield is, or have you worked with psychedelics? We live in such an advanced time in a way that you even get the privilege and also the stress in a way of having that as a luxury to know what those things are, to be able to request them. And I believe what's hurting in some people and what's hurting in the human spirit is going, can someone figure this out? Can someone figure out how to know themselves well enough and be healthy enough, not perfect? You're never going to be fully healed. You'll heal some things in a relationship that you could never heal on your own. And to be with another person and go, you know what? I have a list, but I'm not taking you on a job interview today. I have my 5 things I need in you, you have yours in me, and you know what? I just fucking love being with you. At the end of last year, I was thinking about my relationship vision and all the stuff I've wrote over 13, 14 years. And a lot of it's the same, even though it has changed. And it's funny to think about something in your heart just being with someone and also it making enough sense, like your heart feels it, but then you go, oh, our lives fit together. Because sometimes your heart can say yes and your lives don't fit together. And that is painful. I've been in that situation once. Or sometimes you can go, our lives fit together, but there's not the connection here. It's a different pain. Where you just meet someone and you go, wow, the most important things I need you have, and I feel loved, seen, accepted, heard, and I fucking love being with you. In a way, I didn't know I could love being with another human being. And we have the privilege to live in a time where that's possible. And it can be wildly complicated because we're humans, we're super simple, we can be super complicated. But what I believe is really going on with this Aubrey Marcus podcast is the human spirit crying out, which goes, can someone figure this out? And I have good news and bad news. The bad news is Aubrey or no one else on the internet, not me either, is coming here to save you. You can have what you want. You have to become what you want. That's a tricky part for some of us. Where you go, let's give myself too much credit. We live in a time where there's more opportunity and more clarity than ever in human history. Simultaneously, there's more options, which can create more confusion if you don't know who you are and where you want to go. This Aubrey podcast, even though there's a lot of stuff stirring people up, as there should be, it's not about Aubrey. It's a crisis of the human heart. You go, Phil, haven't you said that 3 times? I think I have. Yeah, maybe it was 4. To something crying out and going, I know this is possible. Like, I know something in my heart knows this is a thing. Even if fucking no one has it. Because if you go to a wedding or a funeral and start to talk to your relatives, you will be very surprised, more than you think. When you have honest conversations with people, and maybe if they're drunk, that will help at a wedding or a funeral, and they tell you about your auntie who they've been married to for 40 years, and you can see really quick, these 2 people don't want to be together. And we used to live in a time where someone would say, I've been married 40 years, and go, tell me your secret. Now, with a little more introspection and paying attention, you can go, I don't want to listen to almost anything from those 2 people. And that's not to be judgmental. It's just that they stayed together out of pain, I'll blame the guy a little more overall. Being a coward, knowing you should leave, and not having the heart, not having the courage, the balls to do it. So, with this whole Aubrey whatever podcast, something in your spirit and your heart is crying out, can someone figure out how to have a damn relationship? I told you I had bad news. It's not Aubrey. Whether he does figure it out or not, that's subjective. And I have good news. The person to figure it out is you. It's not about Aubrey. It's about you figuring it out with you. And that's not always fast, even though it can move fast. And to get right with you, with who you are, with what you really want, and saying no to everything that's not that. So for you to be that person. This video was a bit ad-libbed. I thought it was gonna be like 3 minutes. We're at 14 minutes. We live in a unique time. Again, 150 years ago, love didn't exist in a relationship vision. It was good family. Okay, she'll bear my kids. Okay, she'll be home, she'll clean the house. Okay, he makes good money. He comes from a good family. He's gonna take care of the kids and he's not gonna hit me. That was 150 years ago. In some cases, 75 years ago. You get to choose what you want nowadays. It's not about Aubrey Marcus or some other person. But first and foremost, you have to become what you want. There is a calling of the human heart, of the human spirit, that can someone figure this relationship thing out? And if you're up to the challenge, if you're up to the honor, to the task, that person can be you. So go figure you out and go find your person. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon.